Welcome back, everybody. This is Music Talk with Dave and Mike. I'm Dave.
I'm Mike.
And this week, I'm not really sure what this album is called, really. It's the new Wolfgang Van Halen CD, and it's got Mammoth WVH. Now, I'm not sure if
That's
the band is Mammoth
that's the name of the band.
and then WVH, right? Because the side of the album only says Mammoth. So
I think it's his introduction to this. What he's wanting to do is
yeah.
to put together. This is also part of something to do with his between him and his dad.
Well, Van Halen used to go under the name Mammoth too.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's why he did. But the thing too that confuses me about it is mammoth. When I think of mammoth, I think of a woolly mammoth back in the day of the caveman days and all. But for some reason, we have this big giant crab on the front here crushing cars and a dude standing there with his briefcase. I'm not really, I don't understand the cover at all.
Well,
Um,
yes, I think that's the Hulk. I think that's the crab version of Hulk.
yeah,
Somebody threw him in a pot and started cooking him. And
it
got,
could be.
he got big.
Got angry. Yeah, maybe. Come smashing everybody. I mean, that makes sense. I guess you could call him a
Look at him. He's red.
yeah.
It's the only thing I can figure.
I mean, he looks tasty, really.
It, the old bay on him.
Yeah.
No, I
I mean,
don't see the old bay on him.
I guess you could go with it's a mammoth crab. I don't know. I just kind of thought that odd. The back, the back, he's just showing everything that he played on the album: his drums, guitar, bass, microphone. Inside is okay. I mean, it's a little different. I've never seen a case that had this glued on like this,
Huh.
kind of glued on in there. See,
Wow.
but it's got all the words. But I will tell you, for old people like me, it's very hard to read them because it's light color on a light color background. So
Reason to buy LPs, but I can't afford no $32 for his LP.
yeah. Well, I mean, I get that too, but the light is, I mean, you got to have a lot of light to be able to read that because I don't know. I get it. I totally understand. Get the LP. It's a bigger word. I can see it better. Got another picture of him in there. Then he's got a picture of him with his dad, which that's a pretty iconic picture we've all seen before. And the CD's got the same big crab on there.
And that's what all the pictures with his dad and stuff. And I think it's really the full gist of this whole CD. This whole album.
Definitely, the distance was for his dad.
Yeah, it's kind of thank you, Dad.
Yep.
Because he worked with a Wolfgang worked with a few other bands, a couple other bands before he went to work with Van Halen.
Yeah.
What was it, Trident or something like that, or somebody like that?
Could be. I didn't do a lot of investigating on him. I mean, honestly, I feel like he probably kept Van Halen going longer than they would have. I feel like he was one of the driving forces to keep the band together. He's definitely one of the driving forces to bring Dave back.
Yeah.
And then I think he had some other stuff set up. They were actually going to do a total Van Halen reunion with all of them, everybody. They were going to bring Sammy, Dave, and the guy from Extreme, what's his name, Gary Sharon. I think they were all going to go hit the road and just do everything that they did. But of course, we all know it didn't work out. But anyway, one thing I will say before we get going is if you buy this CD, do not expect to hear a Van Halen CD because you're not going to get a Van Halen CD. And
No.
I mean, he said it, and it's definitely not a Van Halen CD. I've got a few things to say about it, but what did you think of it right off the bat?
Well, I started listening to each song, but talking about the thing about the Van Halen thing, I did hear some dad influences on his guitar work. He did do some hammers and trills and stuff like that his dad would do. I didn't hear a lot of pick scraping or anything like that, but but yeah, my whole thing was I started listening to it each song and I started to take notes and I was like, well, pretty much every one of these songs pretty much the same formula.
Yep.
Like I said, we were talking earlier before we got on here. Um, there was one song where it was kind of an odd time signature. I think it was like a 7/8 measure every 3 or 4 measures. I think every fourth measure wound up being a 7/8
Yeah.
or a 5/4. I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
really count
I
out.
think it was a 7/8 because I counted that one out too. Yeah.
I didn't count it. I just was listening to it, and um, I don't know how he managed, but the drum tracks still sounded the same as they did on everything else, other than had that little 7/8 measure in there.
Yeah. I mean, the whole album kind of, like you said, has the same formula, and it kind of gets a little repetitive a little bit there because I mean, you know what's getting ready to happen. Everything's predictable. There is a couple songs that change it up a little bit, like Circles, and uh, there's another one on there. Maybe You'll Be the One or Resolve, one or the other. But
Yeah.
yeah, they kind of little bit acousticy thing there, but other than that, all the songs are pretty much the same time signature, pretty much the same beats per minute. You got
Yeah.
the same opening riff, verse, big chorus, little guitar thing. Not a lot of guitar soloing in it, but a lot of guitar parts, like structured parts in there. Um, I mean, we'll
I'm a,
go through them real quick. The first one, Mr. Ed, had a pretty good rhythm lick there at the beginning. It's one of those solos you were talking about where he did a little bit of the hammering for his dad, but I really hated the solo. I didn't think it was a very good solo at all.
um,
And I think he threw the hammer in there just for his dad, but it was really out of place to me. I would have liked for him to keep that out. If he would have just played a regular solo, not tried to throw the double hammer thing in there, I think it would have been a better guitar solo. But still a decent song. Um, you know, reminded me a lot, and you're gonna hear me say this quite a bit. It reminded me a lot of Nickelback.
yeah.
You know,
Well, I was reminded a lot of the bands from the late '90s, early 2000s.
hmm
The clean vocals, um, and they were all 2 and 3 part harmonies and stuff like that. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give him props. The man walked in, and I looked high and low for a producer on this, and I guess he was producing it too.
Well,
Uh,
it was produced and mixed by Michael Basket,
or that
but
was at 150 Studios, which is where all the Van Halen stuff was done.
exactly. And I mean, he definitely recorded everything himself, did all the instrumentation, all the vocals, and then sent it to Michael Basket to do the production and
Okay,
mixing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Um,
it was mastered by who was Brad Blackwood, and then that was about it. There was probably a couple of assistant engineers and stuff, people that just plugged in stuff, how that goes.
yeah, but I got to give him props. I mean,
Yeah,
he played everything,
he did.
uh, and that's a lot to think about. And I'm sure he had a lot of time studio wise, but when you add that you're doing all the instruments,
hmm
all the vocal work, that's really not a lot of time for one person. And my one of my complaints was all the drum tracks all sounded the same, and a little bit too much triggering happening on the drums.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an acoustic set or an electronic set, but I could definitely tell if it was acoustic set had a lot of triggering going on,
Well,
which
the
is,
only
that it's not a
that
bad
happens. Yeah.
way to go, but reach over and change it up a little bit once in a while, you
Yeah,
know.
the only two songs that didn't have the same drum sound were the last two, Stolen and Distance. And he had like some kind of, it was almost like a faraway sound, like a reverb, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, right.
sound about it, where it still had the same basic sound, but it was like off in the distant kind of sound to it until it came in again. And then you got the same thing. My problem with the drums was that I felt like the bass drum was way loud and he overplayed it too much. The bass drum, he just, it seemed like he wanted to put as many bass drum hits in there as he could sometimes, and I don't understand why. But
Um,
he didn't let the beats breathe too much.
right.
He was just overplaying that bass drum, and I don't know. But I
Well,
mean, he's a good drummer though. I'll say that.
I just think that this was something that he really set his mind to do. That he was going to do everything on this
Mhm.
CD, this album.
Yeah.
But I do believe that he is looking at forming his own band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I think he's already got the band set because they're getting ready to start doing some shows.
he's got this. Well, on February 11th,
Yeah.
he was on Jimmy Kimmel before the album was released. They
Hmm.
did what was it, Distance,
Yeah.
and Ronnie Figaro, bass and vocals, John Jordan, guitar and vocals, Frank Sidoris on guitars, and Garrett Whitlock on drums.
So
Uh, and
what did Wolfie do?
huh?
What did Wolfie do during the show?
He played guitar and
And sang, play
singing.
guitar, and sing. Yeah, because he talked about how he was really a drummer at heart.
Yeah,
So I thought maybe he would play the drums and just hire the rest of the band and maybe try to sing from the kit if he could.
art. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, it's gotta be if you're gonna meld. I mean,
I don't know.
but
I wish that he wouldn't have did everything himself. I feel like he would have had a better product if he could have threw some of these ideas at other people and they could have changed the formula of a song every now and then, and it wouldn't have followed that same pattern that he did on every song. You know, I
funny.
mean, I find that a lot with people that write and every part and play every part that is constantly starting to sound the same.
Right. Well, see, it's funny that you say that. So I read another review, and I'm going to reference place. It was Riff magazine online, and I forget the gentleman's name. I mean, he did a review, and that was the very thing he talked about, and it was the one thing I had talked to my wife about prior to reading it.
Mhm.
He needed to bring other people in, if nothing else, bring a vocalist in.
Right. Well, I mean, I kind of liked his vocals. I felt like he really could have, he should have brought a better guitar player in.
Well, yeah, but you needed, yeah, and yeah,
You know?
he needed input from other people.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't want it to sound like Van Halen. I really wasn't coming into it thinking that, but being the son of Eddie Van Halen, you got to put out something that has some good guitar in it. And I mean, he had some good hooks, some good riffs, but the playing, I mean, I guess it was okay, but I wanted to hear some really, good guitar. I mean, I wanted to hear some slamming solos, and I mean, I wanted to melt my face, man. I wanted my face to fall off, but it didn't happen. You
I
know,
think we're going to be in for a big surprise on this next one because I think it's going to incorporate using other musicians.
I hope so. I hope so.
I really believe that this was something he needed to get off his chest.
Yeah, and you're probably right, and I think it's cool, and I give him kudos for going out and doing it all because I mean I know how it is to do a song, every part on a song, and you lack in certain areas and you excel in certain areas when you try to do it all. There's not very many people out there that can go out and just there's not a bunch of Richie Kotzens out there. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a select few that can do it all. You
Well,
know,
hell, even when the Beatles weren't getting along, they couldn't even stand each other in the studio. One
right?
of them would back now and go home. The other one would come in and put their stuff in. So,
Exactly. Yeah, but here it is. So, but yeah. So anyway, we go through the songs real quick. Mr. Ed, we talked about that. The second one had a really good opening riff, but he had this little ringing guitar thing in the back of every of the verse, and it just kind of and it was driving me nuts. But it was okay. Get And then the third song, Epiphany, and I know a lot of people talk about how much they like this song, but to me, it sounded just like Filter. It sounded just like that song, Hey Man, Nice Shot to me.
mhm.
The music part, you know. Then we get to the fourth song, Don't Back Down, and that part where he's doing the drum there, that it reminded me of Marilyn Manson, you know. I was like, okay. And then, the fifth song is Resolve, and it had a really, there was a guitar solo in between the first verse and, well, after the first chorus and the second verse. It was a short solo, but I felt like that one was a better. guitar solo because it was more him. It wasn't like I'm going to throw double taps in there because I want it to sound like my dad or whatever. So I like that solo on the fact that that was more of what I feel like Wolfie can do, right? A Wolfie solo. And that's what I liked about it. And six, you got You'll Be the One. And seven was the title track, Mammoth, which I was hoping it would be like this great song. I mean, that's the name of the band, right? But
Mhm.
it was just average song, wasn't much to it. And then Circles, you got this acoustic thing going on, remind me a lot of like a Radiohead or Coldplay, you know.
Mhm.
Then number nine, you had the Big Picture, which is a pretty good song. And then 10, Think It Over was a total Foo Fighters song.
Yeah, I
And
thought of
then
yeah,
and then
yeah,
11 went back to It Sounded Like Filter again. Had a pretty good solo in that one. And number 12, believe it or not, Feel reminded me of Cheap Trick. So you know how Cheap Trick always kind of sang the same line twice? You know, like
yeah,
the, I want you to want me, I need you to need me, or Dream Police, Dream Police, you know. So I feel like that song reminded me a lot of that because he kept repeating the same things, sort of like a Cheap Trick thing, even though the riff was a little maybe a
yeah.
little harder than something that Cheap Trick would do, but it just reminded me of them. Then 13, Stone, which was supposed to be the closer of the album, and it was like his, this is closing it out. It was such a Foo Fighters song that I swear it could have been on a Foo Fighters album.
Mhm.
And then, of course, they ended it up with the bonus track of Distance, which is a tribute to his dad.
Right.
A lot of stuff in there was a little bit repetitive, but I'm not going to dog it. I know what it was about. So, he wanted that one for his dad. It was a good song. And I mean, I think it was okay. But
I think the whole scenario, like just like with the promotion and everything else of the album, was because of his celebrity. The reason why it got promoted the way it did.
yeah,
Now, I'm not taking away from the man's effort. He just was lucky enough to be in that position.
yeah, it was.
We're still living on the aftermath of his dad's death. I mean, it ain't been that long ago.
No,
Um, and I just think he had a lot of points to prove. I think he proved every one of them. And I think out of this, what's going to wind up happening, he's going to wind up with a kick-ass band.
yeah,
And one thing that I was glad of, I didn't hear a lot of Van Halen.
yeah. I didn't
And
want that either. I didn't.
I,
I really wanted to hear more Tool because he talked about how it was going to sound like Tool. It was going to be like a Tool record,
right,
but it wasn't. I mean, there were parts there that had a little bit of inflections of maybe something Maynard would do, but it didn't have the complex things that Tool brings. Because when you listen to Tool, you pretty much had to pull out a dictionary and figure out what he's talking about first because he's so
yeah.
deep.
Well,
And then a lot of the parts are just, crazy in there. So,
I love that drummer with Tool.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
90% of that band.
yeah. Danny Carey. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's awesome, dude.
you know. But
And the
see,
bass player too, man. The bass player, when they changed bass players, it made a big difference in their sound. So,
you know,
uh,
but the thing is like Wolfgang has the opportunity to have a band
mhm.
sounds like Tool,
Yeah,
and
he
I think
could, he could.
honestly, I think what he needs to do, although I'm not too familiar with this Ronnie Vaccaro on bass, but I think Wolfgang needs to pick the bass back up and hang with it and
There were
surround himself by a bunch of monsters, because he can.
there was a couple that song that number 12 song. What was that called again? Feel. They did a breakdown in the almost near the end of that, and he did some bass and then he did a little drum solo thing. And it was really nice, man. I mean, his bass playing was good on this record. Like, I agree with you that, maybe stick to one instrument and let's bring other people in and throw your ideas back and forth, and I think you'll get a better
Right,
CD. To
right.
me, the whole album overall reminded me of early 2000s pop metal. I mean, that's what I was hearing. I was hearing, you know, a little bit of 6 a.m., Nickelback,
Yep.
uh, you know, a little Marilyn Manson here and there. I mean, it really, to me, it sounded a lot like a Nickelback record. You know, I had that whole feel the whole time. I mean, there was nothing really that was any different. I mean, it's basically what you would hear on any rock and roll station, a modern rock and roll station. It sounds like every band that's on there. There was nothing that really stuck out to me on this CD.
I,
Um,
any of these songs came on the radio, I wouldn't change the station. I mean,
yeah,
they're good. They hold their own. You know, I
yeah,
mean, they are a little cliche
hmm,
oriented, but I can't really tell you a whole lot other than getting in some of the art rock bands and the prog rock bands that are actually being really original.
right, yeah,
And most of the originality behind a lot of those bands is honestly, I don't know how else to put it. You're looking at people like Gavin Harris, drummers that are carrying the load in the background that are filling that void.
yeah.
And you know, I don't know. I don't know if Wolfgang is actually trying to go for that avenue.
I
I
think, I
I
think,
pretty much think that where he's trying to shoot for is more of a black country communion type thing, more rock and rollish.
well, you got
But,
a, that's a big target, bro.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So he's got to surround himself, you know, because I heard some approaches to some things that could have gone in that direction,
Yeah,
and in the right hands would have sounded great, you know.
right.
Like, I mean, you put the right people with the right tools to work, and you
Yeah.
got a match, you
Yeah,
know.
you put Martin Birch or you know a Mutt Lang with him, and let's start creating better parts here. Maybe well, we can take some of this stuff and make a better song, and not have so many that are repetitive like
Mhm.
they are. You don't have that same formula. I think if he would have let other people bring in outside influences to these songs, you may have had a bigger album. You may have had something special. I dig what he did. I think it's great. I'll totally give him props for it. It's I mean, you can put the record on. It's not bad. I mean, there's nothing bad on it.
No, it's not.
Not like we've heard in some CDs where some were just so bad I can't listen to the CD, right? But this one, I can put it on and listen to the whole CD. I can. So it's not it didn't hurt me. Didn't hurt my ears. But again, on the other side of that, it was nothing special. I was hoping for more. I mean, I wasn't hoping for a Van Halen album, but I was hoping to hear something from Eddie Van Halen's son that was going to knock me off my feet, and it didn't do that to me. But it again, it's not bad, but it wasn't great. So for me, I'm giving it a 7.3, and it's about all I can give it because it just wasn't anything there special to me. I mean, it was nothing special. I hear this stuff on every radio today by every band that's out there. I mean, I really can hear these same things from, you know, Alter Bridge or, you know, Five Finger Death Punch or all these bands. They all sound the same. It sounds the same to me. So
Yep.
there's nothing. He's not really doing anything different, but it sells. It's pop metal. You know, he can go play festivals with these other bands and everybody will dig it. And you're not going to hate it. It's a good CD, but nothing special for me. So I'm giving it a 7.3.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.
Seven.
Uh, yeah, I mean, like I say, I got to give him props, and I'm glad he got this one off his chest
Mm-hmm.
because I think he's laid a foundation to
Yeah.
really build a band around the name Mammoth, which is
Yeah.
what he has put out there that he wants to do. Now, I didn't watch the clip that he did with the Jimmy Kimmel show on February
Mm-hmm.
11th, um, but I'm sure it rocked the house. You know, and Jimmy Kimmel's got that big outdoor stage that they
Yeah.
use.
And you can only hope they didn't play to tracks.
Right. I don't think I don't think they did in that,
Hopefully
but
not. I may go check it out too. And maybe with the band around him, it'll open up these songs a little more. And then he may see because you know, a lot of times when you write a song, it's better to play it live a few times and see where you can take it before you go record it. And
You
that's
always,
what it used to be, man. Bands would go on the road and have these new songs and play them for people and see the reaction, and then they can take it to another level. Where
yep,
now it's just, go in the studio, throw a bunch of crap together, hit the road.
yeah, and throw it on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And see if it sticks, right? So
And with today, I mean, oh God, and even get into this subject, but Rick Beato got into it, talking about the music industry that's dying.
mm,
It's everybody's using auto tune to do everything.
yeah.
And it's ridiculous. And what
Yeah.
you're listening to is a friggin' robot. You're not listening to human.
Well,
You know,
that's a good thing about this. I mean, Wolfie did those vocals and it was good vocal work. I thought, I mean, it was kind of similar on every song, but it wasn't bad and it wasn't auto-tuned. He did all the harmony parts. So I really liked his vocals. I mean, he could have done some more with maybe some more effects on there, maybe do a little something with it, but it wasn't bad. I
yeah.
mean, you
it,
know,
it's actually, the more I think about this CD, the more I think about this was the songwriter demoing his music.
that's probably true. Yeah,
You know,
this is a precursor to what I'm getting ready to do.
and let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Yeah.
they'll redo some of this.
Maybe. I mean, he's got BMG Records behind him. So, he's going to have some money on the next one. Uh, you know, he's got the name, he's got the contacts, he's got the best studio in America to play in. I mean,
Well,
5150. It doesn't get any better than that, you
mm-mm.
know?
No,
So we'll see. I mean, I'm rooting for him. I hope he comes out with a monster next one. And I just really hope that he gets a guitar player that can actually bring us something that we want to hear, something special. I don't want it to sound like his dad. I want it to sound like them. I want it to be original, but I want it to knock me off my feet.
there's plenty of killer guitar players out there,
Yep.
plenty of musicians in general that
Yeah.
are needing work.
Yeah.
To
And
put it bluntly,
I just hope that he goes out and collaborates with a couple people, man. I mean, I think with a collaboration, he could really put some good songs down.
I
I
do
mean,
too.
he's got the talent.
I do too.
He's got the talent. He's got the money. He's got the contacts. Come on, man. Put another one out. We want something else because this one's been going on for like 2 years now that he's been working on this record. I've been waiting for this record for a long time, and I was wanting it to knock me off my feet, but it didn't. But anyway, whatever. We'll wrap this up real quick. Uh, Mammoth WVH. I'm guessing Mammoth the name of the band. However you want to go with it. I gave it a 7.3. Mike gave it a 7. Check it out. Let us know what you think. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So
No,
anyway, all right. Until next time, you guys stay safe.
that's right. And listen to the music and peace out.